Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Tanya and this is Creations with Tanya. Today we are moving along with the Sewcialites Quilt Along and block number 4, the Spirited Block by Vanessa Gortezen. I apologize if I did not say that name properly. I'm still going along with the 6-inch block, and I need 3 different sizes in the background color. So I have cut out 2 3-inch squares, block A, right here. I've also cut out 2 2.5-inch squares. This is B, and I have cut out 4 1.5-inch squares, C, for the background. And for the printed, I decided to use a orange color in different various colors. D, I've cut out 2 3-inch squares, my apologies, 3 2.5-inch squares, and F, I cut out 4 1.5-inch squares out of my printed fabric. So the first step is to take fabric A, which is this one here, your background color, and you're going to, with right sides together, you're going to take fabric D, which is one of your printed colors, and on the wrong side of fabric A, you are going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner. There we go. Let me move this out of the way and I'll show you here. I am drawing a 1/4-inch seam line, apologies, from the center line. There you go, there's 1 and 2, just like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to sew along those lines you've drawn. I hope you can see that there and there. So I'll do that and show you what it looks like. Okay, I have sewn on the line these seams here, and now I'm going to take my rotary cutter and I am going to just take the edge of my ruler and cut diagonally to make a half square triangle. I'll just cut. There we go. And there's our half square triangles. Iron them. Make sure you iron the seams open, and then you'll have a half square triangle like this. And it says that it should be 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. I've squared this up already. Once you're done this, I will bring you back to the next step. Okay, so as you can see, I have my half square triangle, and they say to take fabric C, which is background fabric, draw a diagonal line, and then you're going to place this on the top left corner of your printed fabric, and you're going to sew along that line that you've drawn, and you're going to do this for the 4 squares. So you should make 4 of these. So I'm just going to chain piece all mine, and then I will show you the next step. Okay, so as you can see here, I have now sewn my fabric C background color to my half square triangle. So what you're going to do is, this is what it's going to look like. Actually, I've got a finished one here. So what you need to do is you're going to cut a 1/4-inch seam away from that seam you just did. So on this side, so I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to line it up with the seam I've just sewn. Take my rotary cutter and cut it like that. And there you go. Finger press it open like that. And there you go. So you're gonna need 4 of these. So I'm gonna finish doing mine and I'll show you what the next step is. So I finished sewing my 1.5 inch background squares to my corner of my half square triangle, and this is called snowballing. Yeah, you can really make some fun different patterns with these. The next step is to take fabric F, from your printed fabric, and you are going to draw a diagonal line on the back, the same thing you did with the background fabric. And what you're going to do is exact same thing. You're going to put the printed fabric on the opposite corner of your background color, and then you're going to sew on that line for all 4 of those blocks. So I have one here that needs a line drawn. There we go. I'm just going to draw my line, and I'm going to go and I'm going to finish these and sew them together, and I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did with background color and then press open my seams. And when I'm done this, I will come back and show you the next step. Alright. Okay, so with fabrics E and B and the half square triangle that you snowballed the opposite corners to, you're gonna put it in a line like this, and you're gonna sew E and B to each side of this block. So right sides together, you are going to sew a 1/4 inch seam along here. When I'm done, I'm gonna then fold this back, and I'm gonna sew this right sides together and do the same, and then iron it open. And you should make 2 of these, as there's 2 blocks of the B fabric left. I'm gonna sew these 2 together, and then we can start laying out the block in rows, and then when I'm done sewing these, I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, I have sewn my top and my bottom rows together, as you can see here, and you have 1 piece of E fabric left, and that will be the center of your block, as you can see here, and then you have 2 of your half square triangles with the snowball corners left. So make sure you follow the pattern correctly, because these 2 are not the same. So make sure you have your background and your printed color like this, and then it's going to be the opposite for the other side. So you have your printed color and your background here, and also the layout of your top and your bottom row. You're going to have your printed fabric going towards this corner, and it's going to be, the printed fabric is going to be facing up and towards this corner. So I'm going to sew the middle row together, and then once that's done, I can then start sewing my top row to the middle and then my bottom row to the middle. Be right back. Okay, as you can see, I've sewn together my middle row. Now I'm just gonna do right sides together, and I'm going to pin right here so that the seams nest nicely. And I'm gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam, and when I'm done, I'll be back and I'll do the same thing for the bottom row. Okay, so as you can see, I've sewn row 1 and 2 together, and I am now gonna sew the bottom row right sides together to the middle row, and I'm gonna pin it at the seams, and hopefully my points match up pretty good at 1/4 inch seam, and when I'm done I'll be back with the finished block. Okay everyone, here's the finished block, and it should roughly measure 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches. So thank you all for joining me in creating this beautiful block, number 4 in the Sewcialite Quilt Along from Fat Quarter Shop. The next is number 5, and it is called Wisdom Block. I'll just show you what you need for next week if you're joining me to make these blocks and this quilt. I'm doing this 6-inch block, so you'll need 3 background fabrics and 3 printed fabrics. You'll need 2 3-inch squares of the background fabric, 4 1.5 by 2.5 rectangles in the background fabric, and 2 1.5 inch squares in the background fabric. And for your printed fabric, you will need 2 3-inch squares. You'll need 4 1.5 inch by 2.5 inch rectangles in the printed, as well as 2 1.5 inch squares in the printed fabric. And I've already got my fabrics picked out for this next block, so please join me next week in doing the Sewcialites Quilt Along. Thank you again for joining me, and I hope to see you next week. And I hope you all have a wonderful quilt day. Thank you. Bye.